Hi everybody, this is Dr. Krashek and I'm very happy to be here today. But I'm not gonna do a very long intro. This is my top 32. This is not a mock draft, but this is my list of the 32 best prospect in the 2025 NHL draft. A lot of work go into it. Hope you enjoy this video, but without ado, this is my top 32 for the 2025 NHL draft. So at number 32, I have Sasha Bumdan, who have played for Boston University this year. He's maybe one of the best skater for defensemen this year. He have such a great skating ability, 6'2", 183 pounds, shoot from the left. Number wise, he have pretty decent number, but I really love his second half of the season. The first half was more difficult, but the U18 at the end of the season, he was amazing and maybe the best defender in this tournament. So yeah, Sasha Bumdan at number 32. At number 31, Jack Nesbit from the Windsor Spitfire in the OHL. Such a great potential and toolkit. He's a 6'4", 183 pounds center who shown great versatility but didn't have a clear DNA. Number wise, had a pretty good season with 78 points and 40 goals. Have a great scoring touch, but have a couple of question marks about his skating ability in the first two steps. But for the rest of it, Jack Nesbit is still a very solid, well-rounded prospect. I think he just need to find his DNA a little bit more and work on his skating motion to be more of an NHLer. So on number 30, this is maybe my first hard or hot take this season with Logan Aneler from the University of Wisconsin. This 6'2", 196 pounds shot from the right was not great this season. The toolkit is there. I think the future could be very good, but he didn't have a great season. He had a lot of issue offensively and defensively. He had so much difficulty to manage the pace, the physicality, and the speed from the NCAA. Yeah, the toolkit is interesting, but honestly didn't have a great season, so he's a big maybe guy for me, a good project but nothing else. At number 29, I have Joshua Ravenburger from Prince George Cougars in the WHL. And I really think Joshua is maybe the best prospect in front of the net this year. The 6'5", 182 pounds, have maybe the more NHL physique for goalies and have shown pretty good number. Nothing perfect, nothing incredible, but Joshua Ravenburger have done enough for me to be in a first round conversation and be a pretty solid future prospect. I think if everything go right, Joshua can be a number one goalie in NHL, not a special all-star goalie, but a pretty solid one. And I think with this physique, I think the probability are higher than other prospects like Ivan Kovic, who are very smaller. The future will tell, but I really like him because of his size, speed, and competitiveness. So the 28th best prospect for me this year is Nesbit from the USHL, one of the most intriguing and very fun prospect from the USHL, a 6'6" right wing who need to put a little bit more muscle in his frame, but still with 42 points in 61 games, Nesbit had a very good progression this year. He is a guy who go to the net, rush goalie, put a lot of pressure on defender, have great hands, have a pretty solid shot. You just need to put a little bit more speed and explosiveness, but if you put that, you have maybe a guy who can be a middle six in the future in the NHL. So at number 27 in my list, I have Cole McKenna, a center who play with a lot of grit, a lot of pace, and I love that. Next year is going to play with University of Michigan, and I think that's a pretty solid thing for him for the future, for his development. But a 6', 201 pounds center have been very good. 61 points in 60 games with the NTDP, and in the USHL, 26 points in 23 games. I really like his future, and I really like what he can do. I think he can be a middle six player in the future, at worst or fourth liner. I don't see a lot of upside offensively. I don't think he's going to be a second line center who's going to be very producing, but I really think McKenna have a great future in the NHL, and I really think he have good enough upside to be a first rounder. So at number 26, I have Shane VanZyl from Michigan State University. And VanZyl, I think, is maybe one of the easiest players to project in the future, but have maybe one of the lower ceiling. At 6'2", 216 pounds, shot from the right, is a right wing. Have decent enough number with 16 points in 37 game for first year in the NCAA. I think it will be a very, very solid third or fourth liner in the future in the NHL. Maybe at best a second liner, but I don't see higher than that. But I really like his grit and physicality, how he played the game. But I really think it's going to be this very, very intense and difficult to play against bottom six or middle six player. Not that much ceiling, but a very, very well-rounded player and a good prospect. At number 25, I have Mr. Spence, who's going to play in the NCAA next year. Spence is a very well-rounded and very solid player. The 6'2", 201-pound lefty winger is not the highest ceiling player, a little bit like VanZyl, but it's still a very solid one. 73 points this year in 65 game. And I think a little bit like VanZyl, Spence going to be a middle six or fourth line type of player who's going to have a great future in the NHL. Not that much ceiling, but a pretty sure value pick, and that's why he's 25. At number 24, I have Zenon, who have played this year with the Huskies, but have been traded to l'Armada Blainville-Boisbriand in the QMJHL. He's a big 6'2", 190 pounds center slash winger, have played every position this year. He's a very versatile player, have done 83 points with 28 goals in 64 game. And this is a guy who played in every situation this year. Power play, D play, 5-on-5 in shutting down moments, and 5-on-5 for scoring big goal. This is a guy who have been used in every moment, and I really like that. Zenon is a very smart player, very good playmaker. He's not for shy to go to the action on the net. Need to work on his skating and stability on his skate a little bit, but I think he's a very good choice in the late first round. At 23, I have Roger McQueen from the Brendan Weeds Kings. And yes, the lower back injury is the reason why he's there. A 6'5", 192 pounds center. I don't know if he's going to be a center in the NHL, but for now he's a center. 10 goals, 10 assists, 20 points in 17 game. Have shown a lot of good thing. And without the injury, McQueen will be probably in my top 10 or top 7. Maybe not top 5, but still a higher pick. But with the lower back, a guy of his size, this is a real big red flag. I've talked to a lot of people in the health industry, in the hockey adaptation, and all said this is pretty bad news for him. At number 22, I have Cameron Reed from the Kitchener's Rangers in the OHL. Have been very solid this season. One of the guys who progressed the most. The 6'2", 174 lefty defenseman have a pretty high ceiling if you ask me. 54 points in 67 game. I still have a couple of question marks in the defensive zone and when you have a lot of pressure and when the physicality go up. But in terms of creativity, skating, and first pass, Cameron Reed have been excellent this season. I don't see a lot of wrong. I really like how he can move to the left, to the right, and change direction. He's a very crafty player, and that's why he's at number 22. At number 21, I have Benjamin Kindle from the Calgary Hitmen in the WHL. A guy that a lot of people have higher or even in the top 15. He's a 5'10", 181 pounds right winger who have a lot of skills. With a number who show it with 99 points in 65 game. Benjamin Kindle have had a pretty solid season. And I just think for me I think he's not the most explosive and elusive player to play against, and I think that will maybe limit a little bit his potential. I still think he can be a top 6 player, but I have a couple of question marks about his future. But I love the fact that he go to the net. He doesn't shy away to go to the tough area, and I think can have a pretty solid career at a top 6 player. That's why he's at 21. At number 20, I have Blake Fidler from the Edmonton Oil Kings in the WHL. And I know a lot of people are lower than me on him, but I'm very high on this 6'4", 200 and almost 10 pounds ready defenseman. This guy had probably the best progression in any defender this year with 33 points in 64 game. The number not crazy, but Blake Fidler have been amazing. This is a guy who managed the pressure and the pace very well. Player very physical and tough brand of hockey. He have a pretty solid shot also. I already see him becoming this nightmare third or second pairing defenseman in the NHL. He have worked very hard on his transition game, so I think the future is very bright for Blake Fidler in the NHL. At number 19, I have Brandon Coots from the Seattle Thunderbirds. Coots have been a riser in my list, and a big part of that was the U18 tournament. This 6 foot, 183 pound center had a pretty average season, if you ask me, with a 63 point in 60 game. But the rest of the season was okay. He was a late first rounder for me, but the U18 was amazing. He was very crafty, very good, very well rounded, and I think that's where he kind of go to my top 20 best prospects. He's a sure value pick, and I think gonna be a good third center in the NHL. At number 18, maybe the second best player from the NCAA this year, Colin Porter. This guy is a very crafty winger, a little bit undersized at 5'10", 172 pounds, but he's a guy who's all gas, no break. Like, he's going to the net, he's very, very fast on his skate. He loves to play this high-paced brand of hockey. I have a couple of question marks on his ceiling and his playmaking. I think the playmaking is kind of average for a player of his size, but the scoring touch, the shooting, the pace of his game is very, very solid. That's why it's at number 18. I have a couple of question marks, but I think the ceiling is pretty solid for a player like Porter. At number 17, I have the wild card, Leen Leivo. This guy is a guy that I could see get in draft at 25 or at 12. The 6'4", 190 pounds winger could be anywhere in the draft board at draft night. With 58 point in 47 game and 27 goal, the number are good but nothing excellent, and I think that's normal with the season he had. This is a guy who had played game that he looked like a very, very high prospect who could be a first liner in the NHL, but other night he played like a guy who's gonna not stick around very long. He doesn't use his body and shy away from the action. He's a wild card, but a guy with such a high ceiling that I think he could be one of the best players from his draft with this potential that he have. At number 16, I have Calanu, a guy who need to work on the defensive side of his game and to be more consistent, but is a pure goal scorer with a high ceiling. A 6'1", 192 pounds right wing who has such a high ceiling and kind of an aura around him. He had scored 46 goals in 62 game, so one of the best goal scorer in this draft class. And this guy have one of the best shot, but like I said, he need to be more consistent. You need to work on the defensive side if you want to stay a top 6 player in the NHL in the future. At number 15, I have Milton Gastrin. And I know it's a hot take. I know that. But listen to me. This guy was one of the most complete center in this draft. This 6'1", 185 pound shot from the left. Play a very similar style of hockey that Brady Morton that a lot of people have in the top 10. Number wise have been very good, was magical in the Ilinka Gretzky Cup, was very solid in the U18 at the end of the season. And this is a guy who plays very physical, go to the net, crash, get rebound style of play, but also one of the best guy in puck protection this season. This guy have been amazing in this situation when he need to protect the puck and shield the puck from the opponent. Also have an amazing and ice coordination, and is very good to find rebound to the net, so he's a top 15 pick for me. At number 14, I have Atkinson from the Barrie Colts in the OHL. He's a physical defenseman. This is a guy who plays a very tough brand of hockey. Even though he's just 6'1" and 200 pounds, the lefty defenseman play a pretty tough game, and I really like what he does on the ice. But I think the offensive side are kind of a little bit overrated because these numbers this year are crazy with 26 goals, 33 assists, 59 points in 64 game. I don't see that happening in the NHL. I think it's going to be a good middle of the pack lefty defenseman. and gonna have a pretty decent career, but he's gonna be mostly a two-way guy, not an offensive-minded guy. So if you're looking for maybe the best skater on this draft, this is maybe the guy, Jackson Smith at number 13 from the Tri-City Americans. He's a 6'3", 190 pounds lefty defenseman who had a pretty solid season this year. With 54 points in 68 games with 11 goals, he had a pretty well-rounded season. In the U18 tournament was also not too bad with 4 goals, 1 assist in 7 games. This is a guy who have a pretty good shot, but his skating is what make him special. He's one of the best skater, and for his size this is crazy, but he need to be better at managing pressure and the pace of the game. At number 12, I have Mr. Big Moment, Cole Rashny, who's gonna play next year in the NCAA, but this year he have been amazing in the CHL. At 5'10", 187 pounds, he's not the biggest guy, but Cole Rashny play a big game. And with 92 points in 62 games, 8.5 goal in 5 games in the World Cup, U18 World Cup, Cole Rashny have been amazing, but look at this playoff number, 25.9 goal in 11 game, almost a goal per game in the playoff also. So in the big moment, Cole Rashny is clearly the best player in this draft. This guy is quite special, go to the net, crash the net, a very solid playmaker, and also he loves to talk a little bit of crap to the other teams. I like his energy, I like his work ethic, he just doesn't have the best skating, but the rest is good. At number 11, Ravenburger, the giant amongst children right now. This guy is way too big. In play for the Seattle Thunderbirds this year, he's a monster, 6'6", 288 pound righty defenseman. It's not gonna be this crazy offensive guy. He's a good two-way, well-rounded defenseman. I think he's gonna be mostly a defensive-minded defenseman in the NHL. I think his style of play is kind of like a little bit like Mikkola, who played for the Panthers. I think that's a great comparison for him, for his game. But I love the physicality, the toughness, the maturity of his game, and I think he's gonna be a solid top 4. So now for the top 10s, I have Brady Morton for the Greyhounds, who have been very solid this year. This is a guy who have been rising in everybody list because of his work ethic, have been very good. He's a 6 187 pound center who had pretty decent number with 72 points in 57 game. But for me, the U18 also was amazing with 11 points in 7 game. And this is a guy that I like a lot. This is a guy who play with a lot of intensity, crash to the net, play a very physical brand of hockey. But I really like his maturity. I really like his two-way game. I really like his IQ in offensive zone. I think he's going to be a good two-way center in the middle six. But I think at best, he can be maybe a very elite second line center. With his physicality and maturity in the two-way game that he have, I think can surprise a lot of people and be this number 2 guy for a Stanley Cup winning team, and that's why he's in my top 10. And yeah, I just like the guy. So now at number 9, I have Victor Hicklin. This is a guy that I love. I love Victor Hicklin. This is my type of player with high pace, a big work ethic, and a lot of talent. I know he's not the biggest guy. He's a lefty, 5'11", 170 pounds. Player who play at left wing, but the number are there with 31 points in 42 games, the second division in Sweden. He have been pretty solid in the World Cup in the G20. This is a guy who have been amazing everywhere he's go, and I think he's gonna be a very good top 6 player in the NHL. This is a guy I think is gonna be a top 6 winger who you can give him a lot of mission. I love those style of player, and I think he's gonna be very good. So on number 8, I don't know it's a hot take because everybody have him a little bit outside the top 5 or at number 5, but for me it's number 8. The 5'11" center James Siggins didn't have a great season, except the G20 who have been very solid this year. He was okay in the NCAA with 37 points in 37 games. Those numbers are pretty good, but the first half of the season was
c'est transporté par
bad.
Oliver
I
Moore.
think the defensive
Moore
side
qui
of the
reprend,
game
passe
was
devant, on
very
est seul. Belle
difficult
feinte, le
for
tir et le but.
I think the
Superbe
pace and
feinte de
physicality
James
is sometimes
Higgins.
something that he doesn't
2-0
like
les
in the
États-Unis.
NCAA.
James.
I don't see a first line center. I see maybe a second line player who can be pretty skillful and useful in the power play, but I don't see a number one guy. At number 7, I have Jake OBrien from the Bradford Bulldogs in the OHL. Probably the best pure playmaker in this draft. This guy have been incredible. He's a 6'2", 170-pound center who have been, again, incredible this season. Just check those number with 98 points, 32 goals, 66 assists, 1 assist per game this season. Like, this guy have been incredible. He's a guy I think who have the potential to be a first center in the NHL or second line center. He's such a crafty playmaker with a lot of skills. I think the ceiling is very high for him. I really like a lot of things. Need to work on the defensive side and using his body a little bit better, but he's a crafty player with a super high IQ, a lot of skills, and I think a lot of teams in the NHL would love to have a player like him in the prospect pool. So for me, Jake OBrien is an amazing, amazing prospect. At number 6, I have Carter Bear from the Everett Silvertips. And you know it. You know, if you watch my video, you know already I'm a big fan of Carter Bear. It's not logical. You cannot discuss it with me. It's just my type of player. Like, exactly what I like, exactly what I love. This season, 40 goals, 42 assists, 82 points in 56 games. Yes, he had a bad injury at the end of the season, but Carter Bear is just a beauty to watch. Hardworking, mix of skills, toughness, go to the net. He's not afraid to be this physical guy either. I love everything about his game, but also he have an amazing scoring touch that I think will translate very well in the NHL. I see him becoming this first line, second line winger in the NHL who's going to be a nightmare to play against, and I think every team wanted Carter Bear. At number 5, I have maybe the most pro-ready player in Antonsson, and I really like his versatility and his scoring touch, but I have a couple of question marks about his consistency and how he played the game. He's a 6'1" center who have played mostly this season at the wing, but have been incredible in the second division in Sweden with 25 points in 29 games. In the G20 was okay, and the U18 I will say was lackluster. But for the rest of the season, Frondell was pretty solid. But I think this is a guy who need people to create something around him to be better. This is a guy who lack a little bit of creativity, but I still think the upside is still there. At number 4, I have Porter Morton from the Brenton Steelheads, and I know a lot of people have him outside the top 5 right now, but I still love enough Porter Morton to be at number 4. This 6'3", 205 pounds righty winger, it's a big physical winger when he does it, but the skill set is just too much there for me to ignore it. 37 goals, 61 assists for 98 points in 57 games. Skills-wise, Porter Morton is a clear number 2 guy, top 2 guy for me. He have one of the best playmaking, one of the best shooting. This guy is very well-rounded, pretty good skater. He need to use his body a little bit more and be more consistent, but I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna be a first-line player in the NHL. He's the type of player that a lot of teams will wish to have in their team. At number 3, I have Caleb Desnoyers from the Moncton Wildcats in the QMJHL. He's clearly the best QMJHL since Alexis Lafrenière, and he have been amazing this season. The 6'2", 172-pound center have shown all season long why he should be a top 5 pick, and for me, he's a top 3 guy. With 84 points in 56 games with 35 goals, Caleb Desnoyers have been amazing. For his skill set, Desnoyers is a very effective all-3 zone player, one of the best playmakers in this draft, not Jake OBrien or Michael Misa level, but still a very effective one. And also, Caleb Deni have maybe one of the most underrated shot this year. When he uses it in transition, his shot is so wicked. And like I said, this guy is one of the best defensive and in transition player this season. This guy is a winner. He almost won everything. And I think he have a #1 center potential for the future. At number 2, I have Michael Misa from the Saginaw Spirit in the OHL. One of the best number guy that I've seen in the last couple of years, and I think he's a clear top 3 guy. And I know for some people he's the first overall pick, but not for me. He's a good center. I think he's way better at the center position than the wing. 6'1", 183 pounds. Have scored 62 goals in 65 games. This is crazy. 134 point. Again, crazy. So number wise, Misa is very good. Have a pretty good shot. Very good at skating with the puck. Have a lot of tools that I like. But I have a couple of question mark about some part of his game. This is a guy that I think have a lot of good things, but I think he doesn't play as well with others. I think when he's not the main puck carrier, he have a couple of difficulty, and also it doesn't seem to like when the game become more physical and more greedy in the playoffs. So a couple of question mark in those two areas. That's why it's number 2. At number 1, I have Matthew Schaefer from the area holders in the OHL, and I don't think it's even close between him and Misa because Schaefer is pretty easy to see what it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a first pairing defenseman in the future, and the 6'2" lefty defenseman have proven that this is in only 19 game. 17 game in the OHL, 22 point with 7 goal, and 2 game in the World Cup G20 with 2 point in 2 game. And I like the pace. I like the skating a lot. I like the first passes. I like this defensive game. For me, Matthew Schaefer is the best defenseman in the last 3 years that I've scouted. This guy have been incredible. Such a well-rounded defenseman who's going to be a first pairing player in the NHL. It's just a beauty to see. So that was my top 32 for the 2025 NHL draft. Like I said, this is not a mock draft. This is my list. Hope you enjoy it. And thank you again. Thank you for the support all year long. I've been making video every week for all season about prospect, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, give a little like and subscribe. And I hope to see you next time.